The mind of an atheist is often misunderstood. To give one a better understanding of my own personal religious dissension, you would have to not only grasp a concept of atheism, but theism as a whole. Did you know that before he ascended to heaven, that Jesus visited the Americas to deliver an important message to the Nephi people? They were basically future Mormons. But wait, how did the Mormons get to America, you ask? Well, their Messiah Nephi, he left Jerusalem at the urging of God by boat. He made it all the way to the center of America by boat. Now back to that message. It was, if they behaved well enough, they would win the battle against their evil dissenting counterparts, the Lamanites. Basically today, we call them Native Americans. I suppose with a bit of perceptual vigilance, one could mistake a native for an evil group of people from Jerusalem that came here by boat with Mormons. It'll make sense then. On another note, blacks weren't allowed priesthood in Mormonism until 1978. And women, unfortunately, still can't be a priest. Also, many believe that there are multiple worlds with multiple gods governing them in varying universes. And if we behave well enough, we'll get to inhabit one of those planets with our large families that we have. I suppose one does need many wives to keep inbreeding at a minimum when populating an entire planet. And I thought my sperm was potent. Many Mormons believe, or their doctrine says, that black people, such as myself, our skin is cursed. Although I personally consider myself a smoky tanned almond color, you decide. However, if one lives a good Mormon life, their skin can become uncursed. Think Michael Jackson, 70s, 80s, 90s. You probably notice this behind me is a periodic table of sex. This has about as much to do with science as Scientology. Now, unlike other faiths, the inventor of this religion is a science fiction writer by job description. He actually admitted creating this religion for profit, or at least sometime before he came up with the idea of Scientology. He was quoted as saying that the fastest way to get, the easiest way to get rich is to create a religion. Now, the great story of Scientology is the story of Xenu, the alien leader of the Galactic Confederacy. Now, billions of years ago, Xenu brought people to Earth in spacecrafts. He stacked these people around volcanoes and blew them to bits with nothing other than hydrogen bombs. Yes, the same ones we used in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Now, the souls of these people who were blown to smithereens they clustered together and attached themselves to the living. Elroy Hubbard, the writer, prophet, messiah, creator of Scientology, he calls these spirits body thetans. Ooh. Advanced level Scientologists put considerable emphasis on isolating these alien spirits to put an end to their evil effects. How does one know they have these spirits? For a low, low price, one can buy an e-meter. And with this e-meter, they can audit themselves. That way they know exactly how much bad deeds and evil spirits they have within themselves. That's why they make you take a personality test before joining their church. That's all I got to say about that. Hinduism, it has something for everyone. Well, aside from a reasonable means of profit gain, in comparison to the other powerhouse religions, that is. Well, now I'm back to something for everyone. It does not have a single theological system, a single concept of a deity, a single holy deity, a single concept of morality, a single idea of a prophet, or a single religious form of authority. Scholars and other people who know many more facts than you and I regard Hinduism as the oldest religion in the world. I find this funny since many like to believe that their religion coincides with the beginning of the world or the creation of the world. Well, the Bible does suggest that the earth is only 6,000 years old. So much for carbon dating. Back to Hinduism being the oldest religion in the world. This is probably why many deities of future cultures and religions take on one or another characteristic of any given Hindu god. Yes, that includes JC. There are many gods in Hinduism, and many are quite strange, such as Ganesha. She was half elephant head, half man. Then there's Brahma, who married his own daughter, keeping in the family. However, at the end of it all, with there being so many gods and goddesses, one can easily pick and choose, so they don't have to decide to believe in half man, half eagle head god. They can believe in the supreme being, Krishna. She was an avatar of Vishnu. I suppose that's why she was blue with the long ponytail. Many Jews believe, as it says in the Torah, that a covenant was made between God and the Jews on Mount Sinai. This covenant gave them the land of Eretz Israel, or Israel. This is why many Jews have been ready to fight Muslims to the death. Jews don't believe Jesus was divine or the Messiah in general. This is the biggest butting of heads between them and Christians. I mean, how dare they say that their divine Father, Son, Trinity figure was only a regular prophet. I guess this is why those early believers of Jesus' divine nature branched off to form the early Catholic Church. Another random fact, there are 613 mitzvahs, or commandments / laws in Judaism. Pretty much the Old Testament. Well, the first 5 books at least. One of these is not being able to use fire during the Shabbat. No worries though. YouTube religionists for some informative tips on evading Jewish law. But wait, that's Christian stuff though, right? Don't worry. Even though Jesus said he came to fulfill the law and not to destroy it, many believe that the New Testament made, such silly things like that null and void. How about caparo, if I pronounced that correctly? Forgive me. This is a Jewish ritual where one transfers their sin into a live chicken. Polo. But on the side note, I wonder how that first rabbi convinced the first man to get circumcised, or to circumcise his son. All you gotta do is let me cut off the extra skin around the tip of your penis that keeps it all warm. That must have been a very persuasive guy. Since next up is Islam, I figure it's only fitting that I give you this monologue in this position. I recently saw a sign that read, "Purple Jihad, Gay Muslims for Peace, and the Destruction of Israel." I read recently that 61% of the Quran is about non-Muslims and how they should be dealt with. Allah condemns non-Muslims to hell based merely on their own disbelief, while believers are rewarded with the finest worldly desires such as wine, endless food, and of course sex. Verse 7 and 176 compares us unbelievers to panting dogs with regard to their idiocy and worthlessness. Dog lover, are you? Verse 7 and 179 says that we're like cattle, only worse. If you're a Hindu, this is quite the compliment. Why so much hate for Jews, you ask? Verse 5 and 60 says that Allah transformed Jews of the past into apes and pigs. This is echoed by verses 7 and 166 and 2 and 65. Muhammad married a young girl named Aisha at 6. Yes, 6. But no worries, he waited until she was 9 to have sex with her. Let us not forget about the 72 virgin myth. Many impoverished Palestinian boys are coerced with this myth at a young age to strap bombs to their bodies, turning themselves into proximity mines on Israeli street corners with the hopes of attaining such virgins. Let's hope their immature, blown-to-bits penises are restored to them in the afterlife. Now, this doesn't work for older followers, such as the 19 hijackers. They needed a little more convincing before they decided to instill fear in us infidels. I suppose the fear-mongering did work. The battle against the mosque near Ground Zero is still waging. I would like to say to the camera, RIP to all the Muslim men and women who were lost in 9/11. 2 things. Yes, that's a teddy behind me. And I am in my closet. I'm in my closet because I'm coming out the closet. Right here on camera. I am not afraid to talk about Christianity. There, I said it. I'm out the closet. Whew, now that that's off my chest. Now, on to Christianity. After hearing of a few details of some of the tenets of some of the newer religions, such as Scientology and Mormonism, one's got to be thinking, where the fuck did they get this shit from? When your predecessors have a patent on, well, let me tell you, I made a list. Let's see. They have a patent on virgin births, talking snakes, women made from ribs, speaking burning bushes, and the Trinity. One must get a little bit more creative to attract people. Speaking of the Trinity, God is a single father who sends his son on a suicide mission. But the son shouldn't worry, because the son is God. Son is father, father is son. They can't kill God. Well, they can't literally kill him, but they can beat the shit out of him for a few days. I mean, honestly, why go yourself when you can just make yourself into your son, which is you, and he can take the punishment for you? Honestly, who wants to be spit, whipped, crown of thorns, spikes in hands? Who wants that? Nobody. Send somebody else to do it. So to first complete this task, God goes to earth and finds a virgin Palestinian woman who just so happens to be married. That's not a big deal though. But he finds this virgin Palestinian woman and he